Why he did it. Nick and Victoria explode on Victor. Nikki's attack finally explained. The Newman Ranch was a place where one person had all the power. They made the rules and everyone else followed them because they were scared or loyal. The Newman Ranch was also a place where people did what they were told because of family ties. Tonight the walls of the Newman Ranch did not seem strong enough to keep everything inside. The Newman Ranch was about to see something big happen. The walls might not be able to handle it. The living room was really dark, the fire was burning low, it sounded like it was scared too. Nikki Newman was sitting straight on the sofa, her hands were held together so tightly in her lap that they looked like they were going to break. Nikki Newman's face still looked very tired, not just because she had not slept. Also because she was very upset, the kind of tired that you feel when you have been loving a man like Victor Newman for a very long time. It gets inside you and does not go away. Nick was standing near the window, pacing back and forth. Nick would take a steps and then he would drag his hand through his hair. His jaw was really tight. His breathing was not even. Victoria was standing closer to the middle of the room. Victoria had her back straight and her face did not show what she was thinking. Victoria's eyes were telling a different story. Victoria's eyes were burning with something. Nick was still pacing near the window. Victoria was still standing near the center of the room. Victor was the one to enter. Victor Newman did not rush. Victor Newman never did. The door closed behind Victor Newman with a deliberate thud, and for a moment nobody said a word. Victor Newman looked at his family the way Victor Newman always had. Like he was figuring out what was good and what was bad. About them, what they could and could not do. That was his first mistake. Nick spun around. "Do not," he said loudly, his voice cutting through the quiet. "Do not look at the people like that. Not tonight when everyone is already upset. The people do not need this tonight." Victor raised an eyebrow. He was not impressed. He said, "What are you talking about? Like what?" Nick said, "This like we are pieces on a game board. This is another move." To him that is what it feels like. We are pieces and he is the one making the moves, that is what Nick is saying. Victoria crossed her arms. "Because this time, Dad, it is not like before. With the things that Victoria is talking about, Dad, it is really not." Victor let out a breath and he was already getting annoyed. If this is about Nikki. Nikki flinched when she heard someone say Nikki. It was a loud voice that said Nikki, so it startled her. The sound of her name, Nikki, was what made her jump like that. Nick stepped forward. "This is about my mom." That is when it happened. Something changed. Victor saw it. The way his children were standing together, the fact that they were not arguing with each other, not questioning themselves. His children were together. They were against Victor. Victor Newman was a man who always got what he wanted. This time it was different. Victor Newman was not used to being told no or having things not go his way. The fact that Victor Newman was not getting what he wanted was really frustrating for Victor Newman. Victoria spoke first. Her voice was steady. It had a lot of anger in it. She said, "You are going to tell me what happened. You are going to tell me now. You are going to tell me the truth. No leaving things out. No stopping to think about what to say. You are going to tell me the truth about what happened with Victoria." Victor said with a laugh. "What do you want me to explain, Victoria?" Nick laughed in a sad way. "You really want us to say it loud and make it totally clear?" Nikki finally got up. She moved really slow. She was determined. "The attack," she said in a voice. "The one you keep saying you had nothing to do with, the attack. On us, I mean the attack," she said. Victor turned to Nikki. His face looked a little gentler. Or he was trying to make it look that way. "Nikki, you know that Victor would never." The woman said stop. She said it really quietly. The word had a lot of power. It was more powerful than any shout. The word carried power than any shout ever could. Nick's fists clenched. He said the woman was hurt. The woman was really scared. "All you have done since then is try to change the subject, manipulate people and hide the truth about what happened to the woman." Victor's eyes got hard. He said, "I was trying to keep this family safe." Victoria let out a laugh. "No, you were looking out for yourself. That is what you were doing, protecting yourself." That really landed. Victor stood up straight. He said, "I do everything for my family." Nick really lost his temper. "That is the line you always say," he said. You always use that excuse. For everything you mess up, every person you hurt, and every rule you break. You do this every time with everything you break, everyone you bulldoze, every line you cross. Victor stepped toward him. He said, "Watch your tone," to the man. Victor was not happy with the way the man was talking to him. Victor wanted the man to be more careful with what he said. Victor stepped closer, to the man. Repeated, "Watch your tone." "No," Nick said, taking a step closer, to the person he was talking to. He was really upset. "I am done watching everything," Nick told them. "I saw what happened to my mom. It was like she was going to be destroyed. I saw what you did, how you changed the story to make it sound different. And now I know the reason why this all happened," Nick said about the things that involved his mom and the other person. Victor just stopped moving all of a. Victoria's voice was really low, it was scary calm. "We know what you did, Dad." The fire was making a lot of noise, it was the thing you could hear in the room as Victor looked at their faces. He did not say it was not true away. Victor just waited for a moment. That silence was confirmation enough. Nikki's voice was shaking badly. She said, "Why did this happen?" She asked that because she was very upset. After everything that happened between them, Nikki wanted to know why things ended like this. She said, "Why again?" She really meant it. After everything they went through, Nikki could not understand why it had to end. Victor closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them again. The mask was back where it was before. This time it was cracked. The mask that was on Victor's face was not perfect anymore. The man said that he did this because he had no option. He really had no choice. The man said this. It was clear that he meant it. He said that he had no choice and that is why he did it. Nick shook his head because he did not believe what he was hearing. There is always a choice when it comes to the things we do, Nick. He was talking about the situation with the choices that people have, and Nick meant that people always have a choice no matter what the situation is with the choices that are available to people. Like Nick. Victor turned sharply. He said, "I do not think that is an idea when our enemies are getting closer and closer. If we show them we are weak, they will definitely try to destroy us." Victoria looked at him with a face. She was really upset. "So you just let it happen?" Victor said, "I did not plan for you to get hurt." He was really upset. Lost his temper. "But I had to do something to get what I wanted," Victor said. "I needed something to happen that would get people's attention. I needed something to go wrong. The person who was doing things had to be caught." Nikki's breath caught in her throat. She said, "You used me," and her voice was shaking with anger and hurt. The words "you used me" kept repeating in her mind, and she could not believe that this had happened to her, that someone had actually used her for their own gain. Nikki thought about the situation and she realized that she had been blind. She had trusted this person. They had taken advantage of her, and now she was saying "you used me," and it felt like her heart was breaking. Victor's jaw got really tight. He said, "I took advantage of the situation that was happening." Nick hit the table hard with his hand. He said, "That is our mother." "My wife," Victor shouted back. "The woman I love more than my life," he said. "My wife is the most important person. To me, my wife is the one I care about." Victoria said, "Then why does she look like she has been really hurt by something?" Victoria demanded to know. She was talking about the woman. How she looked like the woman had been affected by something very bad, like collateral damage, from a big accident or something. Victoria really wanted to know what was going on with the woman. Victor turned away. He was really trying to get control of the room, but the power had already gone to someone else. Victor was having a time because the power had already shifted, and now Victor was not in charge of the room, like Victor used to be. The truth came out in pieces. Victor had known that something bad was going to happen. He let the danger hang around, thinking it would force an enemy to show itself. The attack on Nikki was the thing that started Victor's plan. Nick looked at him like he had never seen him before. He said in a voice, "You did not just put her life in danger." He then said, "You completely destroyed her life." Nikki's eyes got all teary. She said, "I spent many nights thinking it was my fault. I was so scared, and you knew the whole time." Nikki felt really bad about what happened to Nikki. Victor finally faced her. He said, "I did it to keep us safe." Victor wanted to make sure that what he did would keep them safe. He told her that he did it for the two of them, for Victor and her, to keep them out of harm's way. Her voice broke. "You did this to stay in control of everything," she said. Her words focused on the fact that you did it to stay in control. That was it. Victoria stepped forward. Her calm demeanor started to break down. She said, I have spent my life standing up for you, trying to make sense of you and thinking that everything you did had a reason behind it. What you have done now. She shook her head. What you have done is really bad and I do not think I can forgive you for it. Victoria is very upset about this. Nick nodded. You did something that you cannot take back now. You completely crossed the line with the things you did. Now you cannot come back from that. Victor's voice got really low. It sounded scary. He said, be careful. No, Nick said. You should be feeling that way. For the time Victor Newman looked really cornered. Nikki walked past him, her hand touched his sleeve. It was not a gentle touch. It was like she was closing a door. I do not know Nikki's husband anymore, she said in a quiet voice. Nikki felt like she was looking at a stranger. Not the man she used to love, Nikki's husband. Those 6 words are really powerful. They hit me harder than if someone was screaming at the top of their lungs. The words themselves are what get to me, those 6 words. Victor turned around. He was really shocked. Nikki, he said. That was all that came out. She did not stop. The door closed behind her. It made a noise that went all through the house. This noise was like a decision. It was that loud and clear. The house felt empty when the door closed behind her. Victoria looked at her father one time. She said to him, you always taught us that the things we do can affect what happens to us. Nick followed her toward the door. He said, this is yours. Victor stood alone in the ranch, surrounded by the empire that was the result of his work and the family that he loved, but now the family he loved was broken because of what he had done to them. The empire that he had built was still there, but the family he had built was falling apart. And for once, there was no plan big enough to fix it. Because this time, they weren't afraid of him anymore. Victor Newman finally figured out the reason behind his actions. He realized that this was the thing that made him do what he did. The thing that made Victor Newman do it was now clear to him, to Victor Newman. Too late. Victor Newman just stood there for a long time after the door shut behind Nick and Victoria. You could hear their footsteps. Then they were gone. The quiet that was left was really loud. The ranch used to be a place that made Victor Newman feel like nothing could touch him. Now it felt empty and weird, like a tomb, for a man who was still alive. Victor Newman felt this way about the ranch. Victor poured himself a drink. His hand was steady. The thoughts in his mind were all over the place. He had been through a lot, for a long time. There were times when people tried to overthrow him and times when people he trusted turned against him. He even spent time in prison. Had people who wanted to hurt him very badly. All of those things were nothing compared to what just happened. This time the problem was not something that someone else was doing to him. It was not someone trying to take his place or a secret enemy. The damage this time was inside. It was something that happened to the person himself, not something that someone else did to him. It was his children. It was Nikki. It was the truth. Across town, Nikki sat by herself in a hotel room she had not planned on staying in. Her purse was still on the table. She had not touched it. The room had a smell of medicine and clean sheets. It was too clean and too quiet. When she looked out the window, she saw herself staring back. She looked older than she thought she was. She looked really tired, more tired than she would ever say she was. The hotel room was quiet. Nikki was alone, with her thoughts, and her purse was still sitting there untouched on the table. She kept thinking about what Victor said. She replayed Victor's words over and over in her mind. I really needed something to give me an advantage. I needed leverage. I really needed some chaos in my life. Chaos was something that I felt was missing. I needed chaos to make things more interesting. The thing I needed was chaos. Her stomach got all twisted up inside her. For years Nikki had gotten by loving Victor Newman by telling herself something. She would say to herself that Victor Newman would never really hurt her. Victor Newman might not tell the truth. Victor Newman might try to control her. Victor Newman might do things that other people would not do. Nikki believed that she was special to Victor Newman. Nikki needed to believe that Victor Newman thought she was special. Tonight destroyed that illusion. There was a knock at the door. It really startled her. The knock at the door was so loud that it made her jump. She was startled by the knock at the door. Nick said in a voice that was full of worry. It is me, Nick said. She was not sure what to do, then she opened it. Nick did not say anything at first. He just pulled the girl into his arms, holding her like she was something precious. Like the girl really mattered to Nick. The girl felt safe, with Nick holding her. Nick was holding the girl like she was going to break into pieces if he let go. He said that he was sorry. He spoke in a quiet voice. The man felt bad because he did not understand the situation until it was too late. He thought that he should have seen it sooner. The situation with the problem should have been clear to him a time ago. She leaned into him. Tears finally started coming out. We all should have done that. At Newman Media, Victoria worked into the night. This time it was different. She was not trying to get. For the time in her career, Victoria was not chasing power. Victoria was feeling very clear about things. She was feeling overwhelmed by how clear everything was. Every decision Victoria had made, she had told herself it was okay. Every time Victoria had done something that did not feel right just because her father wanted her to, Victoria had accepted it. Now Victoria could see that all these things were connected. They were all part of the problem. It was a big problem. It was ugly. Victoria could not deny it. Victoria was drowning in clarity about Newman Media and her life. Her phone started buzzing all of a. It was a sound that she knew well, the sound of her phone. Her phone was. It caught her attention. Dad. She looked at the screen, then she turned it off. The screen was quiet now. She was done with the screen for the moment. Victor tried again. He wanted to get it this time. Victor was not giving up. Victor took a breath and started all over with the thing that Victor was trying to do. Straight to voicemail. This was a bad day for Victor Newman. He was trying to get in touch with his daughter for the time and it was not working out. Victor Newman could not reach his daughter. That was very strange. Usually Victor Newman can always talk to her. Today was different. Victor Newman was starting to get really worried about his daughter. The morning Genoa City woke up to whispers. Something was wrong with the Newmans. The Newmans were not working together like they usually do. People had not seen Nikki anywhere. Victor missed an important meeting. When the Newmans are not in control, the whole town of Genoa City feels it. The Newmans and their power are a deal in Genoa City. Michael Baldwin was the one who saw it first. He noticed something was going on. He was the first person to realize it. Michael Baldwin figured it out before anyone else did. Victor was sitting across from him at the ranch. He had a stone face. You could not tell what he was thinking. Victor just sat there looking very serious. You could not read his face at all. It was like Victor was hiding his feelings. Michael said to the person, "You look really bad." He said this in a careful way. The person looked like they had been through a lot. Michael. That is why he was being so careful with what he said. Michael wanted to make sure the person did not get upset, so he chose his words carefully when he said, "You look like hell." Victor smiled in a way. He said, "You always did have a way with words." Michael leaned forward, asked what happened to them. Victor did not answer. Michael's face turned serious. "This is all about Nikki, is it not?" That really got a reaction from people. It was something that made the people react. The reaction to that was very strong. Victor's jaw got really tight. He said, "You have no idea what you are talking about the situation, about what's going on with the situation." Michael stood up. He said, "I know when you are bleeding, Victor. This time it is not from someone who wants to hurt you. It is from the people who are supposed to care about you, your family, Victor." Victor's eyes flashed. He said, "I did what had to be done, and that is that." Victor was very clear about it. Victor did what he thought was necessary at the time. Michael sighed. "You always say that and then everything falls apart," he said, thinking about all the times this had happened with the things that Michael was involved in, like the projects that Michael worked on. Meanwhile, Nick went to Sharon's place. He did not even knock. He never had to do that. Sharon looked at Nick's face. She knew what was going on with Nick. She said it finally happened. She said it really quietly. Nick nodded. He said the person admitted what they did. At least they admitted to most of it. Sharon poured coffee. This simple act made things feel normal again for both of them. Now I do not know how to be his son. Being a son to him is really tough for me now. I just feel like I have lost my way when it comes to my relationship with my father. I am his son. I want to be a good son to him, but I just do not know how to do that now. The hurt stayed with me for a long time. It lasted a lot longer than the anger did. The hurt from that experience still feels like it is. With me, it is a strong feeling that the anger never was.